Fractions, Part 6. In today's lesson, students will learn how to change mixed numbers into improper fractions. Mixed numbers into what? Very good. Today, we're going to take a look at mixed numbers, okay? And we're going to change them into improper fractions, okay? So, again, a mixed number is a whole number, a big number, right? Like the number 2 with a fraction next to it, like 2.5, okay? So, to change a mixed number into an improper fraction. Okay? You have to do two things, okay? So, we're taking a look at this mixed number. It's 2.5. We're changing this back into a fraction. Remember, when we had an improper fraction is when the top is bigger than the bottom. It's when what? The top is bigger than the bottom. Okay. We use division in order to get a mixed number. Okay, we use division. Now we're going to do the opposite. We're going to take a mixed number, we're going to turn it into a fraction. So, what's the opposite of division? It's multiplication. That's right. Okay, so let's take a look at 2.5. Okay, now we're dealing with halves. That's the fraction. Okay, so circle the bottom of the fraction. It tells you the size pieces you're working with. Okay, now if you look at this one, this drawing, okay, I'm going to color the whole thing in here. Let me color it in with red. This is, if I color the whole circle in, that's one hole. Then you have two holes. Two holes, yes, with a half. 2.5. Yes, 2.5. Okay. But really, if you're working with halves, you can take this hole and you can cut it in half here and cut it in half here. When you're changing the mixed number into an improper fraction, it's saying, well, how many halves is 2.5? How many halves is that? So you're working with halves. You're going to keep the denominator, which is 2. Circled it. Keep the denominator of the fraction. Okay, so that's 2, right? Put it underneath like that. It's 2. Oops. Move this. Okay. Now, if you're talking about a fraction, now we have the denominator. We're talking about halves, right? How many halves is 2.5? Well, in order to figure that out, to figure out the numerator, you have to do the opposite of division, which is multiplication. So you're going to multiply the whole number by the denominator. Okay. And you're going to add the numerator. So write that down. So multiply the whole number by the denominator and add the numerator. Now that sounds very complicated, doesn't it? Yes. So there's a simple way to do this, and it is, does everyone know how to make a check mark? Yeah, check mark, check. Okay, so here's how you're going to do it. You're going to make a check mark like this. You start off making your check mark, right? Like this. And then, to make the check mark, you go up. Check, yes? So when you make a check mark, the first thing you do when you make the little line is you're actually multiplying, okay? You're saying 2 times 2. What is 2 times 2? 2 times 2 is 4. Then I want you to add 1. 2 times 2 plus 1 up here. Okay, so multiply the whole number by the denominator, which is 4. 2 times 2 is 4. Then add 1 more. What's 4 plus 1? 4 plus 1 is 5, right? Now, is this an improper fraction? Is it an improper fraction? 5 halves. Yes? Okay, because the top is bigger than the bottom. So let's see if that's true. Look at the picture. How many halves? Let's count them. You ready? Just count these halves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes? So 2.5 is the same as 5 halves. Yes? But this is a mixed number. You're changing it into an improper fraction. Go ahead and write that down. Again, we're going to be changing mixed numbers to improper fractions. Read the mixed number with me. It says 1 and 3/4. The first question you're going to ask yourself is, what is the denominator of the fraction? What's the bottom number? What am I working with? I'm working with fourths, right? Okay, so we'll draw it, okay? We're going to put this fourth right here because that's going to be the denominator of our improper fraction. So this says 1 whole. Let's draw it, okay? 1 whole. I'm going to take this circle, and I'm going to color all of it in, or shade all of it in, which makes 1. And then I'm working in fourths. I need to show 3/4. So first I cut it in 4. And how many should I shade? If it's 3/4, I should shade the numerator, right? Which is 3. 1 and 3/4. Very good. Okay. Now, when you change a mixed number to an improper fraction, you remember the check mark. Remember the what? The check mark. And to get the numerator, okay, all you would have to do is first make a beginning of a check mark, which is 1 times 4. Okay, so you do 1 times 4. Keep it in your head. 1 times 4 is 4. Any number times 1 is that number. Multiply by 1. Then, when you make the rest of the check mark, you are going to add. Okay? So you said 1 times 4 plus 3. So 1 times 4, and then you're going to just add that top number. 1 times 4 is 4, plus 3 is what? What's 4 plus 3? 4 plus 3 is 7. Okay, so our improper fraction is 7/4. Now let's check. If we were to cut the 1 in fourths, and we're talking about fourths, how many fourths would we have? Let's count. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7/4. Okay, see how that works? Get that down. Okay, read this next mixed number with me. It says 3 and 1/3. 3 and 1/3. So if you were to draw this out, okay, we want 3 holes, right? 3 holes. We're going to draw 3 circles. 1, 2, 3. Okay, but then we have a third. We have a third. So we're going to draw another hole. And we're going to cut this one in thirds. Remember, to cut something in thirds, you can either do a Y, okay, or you can do a peace sign, whatever you want. So this is how I normally do it. I make a peace sign. So I say, okay, peace. I cut it in thirds, right? Okay. So I'm going to show 3 and 1/3. I have 1, 2, 3, and then 1 of the third. Okay, good. So let's go ahead and change this now into an improper fraction, which is really asking how many thirds are 3 and 1/3? You look at the bottom of the fraction. Look at the denominator. Write that down as the denominator of your fraction. Then you use the check mark to find out the numerator. So let's check. Here we go. Check. 3 times 3. What is 3 times 3? 3 times 3 is 9. Then all you do is you add 1 to that. So what is 9 plus 1? 9 plus 1 is 10. Okay, so let's make sure this is in fact the answer. Okay, how many thirds are in 3 1/3? Let's go ahead and make peace signs or cut all of these holes into thirds. So we'll make this thirds, we'll make this thirds, this thirds. Okay, you can already tell we have 3, 3, and 3, right? So it would be 3 times 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You have 10 thirds in 3 1/3. Okay, go ahead and write that down. Read the next mixed number with me. It says 4 1/2. Well, let's go ahead and draw that. We know we have 4 holes, so we're going to draw 4 whole circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we have a half. Okay, how do you draw a half? You got to cut that last circle in half. Okay, and we're going to show 4 1/2. So this would be 4 1/2. You all understand? Yes? 4 1/2. Draw this for me. Okay. Now, when you change a mixed number to an improper fraction, it's asking you to look at the fraction next to the whole number, which is half. It's asking how many halves are in 4 1/2. How many halves are in 4 1/2? So we're going to write the denominator down. That will be the denominator of our improper fraction. Then we'll use the check mark, right? So we're going to do, first when we check, we do multiplication. We say, what is 4 times 2? 4 times 2 is, what's 4 times 2? It's 8. Now keep that in your head. 4 times 2 is 8. Then we're going to add 1 to it. We're going to add 1. So 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. Very good. What is it? We read this as 9 halves. 9 halves. Well, let's make sure that there are, in fact, 9 halves in 4 1/2. We're going to have to cut all of these holes into what? We're going to have to cut them in half, right? Okay. So I'll cut them in half. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. I cut all those in half. Now we're going to count the halves. We're going to say there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 9 halves in 4 1/2. Okay, go ahead and get that down. And now you're going to try some of these on your own.